Well, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you might be. Thanks for joining us for today's live presentation designed to share best practices for maximizing your success with the Driver's Alert How's My Driving program. We do have quite a bit of information to cover, so we do estimate today's webinar will run approximately 45 minutes. I would like to quickly direct your attention to the icons at the bottom of your screen here. Just to make you aware, the Driver's Alert does offer many fleet safety solutions in addition to the How's My Driving program, including driver training, which you will hear about today, as well as a growing library of general EH&S courses. Of course, How's My Driving, then telematics, MVRs, and you'll see the smart coaching application icon over here. It's really, although it's not a standalone product per se, it does highlight one of our unique differentiators, which is really guiding managers through that coaching process along with the assignment of training so that beyond just the documentation of unsafe driving events, we actually help you do something about it. Just to quickly put a face to a name, I'm Rich Sordahl, responsible for marketing at Driver's Alert, and a little about us. We have 1,500 clients and 350,000 plus vehicles currently under contract, and that translates into literally millions of documented unsafe driving events that we've shared with our customers since our inception all the way back in 1989. We're a trusted partner for more than 100 companies in the insurance industry. But that one common theme across those 28 years of existence is really innovation. We are one of the pioneers in the How's My Driving industry, and within that industry we've been responsible for many firsts, including being the first company to offer high visibility reflective decals for night viewing, the first to assign unique vehicle ID numbers, the first to offer a recording of the motorist call, and the first to integrate incident-specific online training to actually correct unsafe driving behavior. And along with correcting unsafe driving behavior, we're really the first to offer that complete closed-loop corrective action process, which now is incorporated into not just our How's My Driving program, but also MVRs and telematics. So you could kind of say we are a pioneer in e-learning for fleets. We're also the first to offer a safety-based telematics application which goes beyond traditional telematics programs which focus on route optimization, miles per gallon, engine diagnostics, things of that nature, to really looking more at the driver, because we do believe when it comes to fleet safety that the driver is the biggest variable. And finally, next generation e-learning, which has now been out for about a year now. We have the newest and freshest content available, which I mentioned before doesn't include just driver training, but also a growing library of just general environmental health and safety content too. And you will hear about a couple of new corrective action courses during the course of today's presentation. So why are we here? Well, very simply put, first, customer feedback. We've analyzed the past several months of our collective interactions with clients and have noted recurring questions about just the overall adherence to the steps of the How's My Driving program. And today we would like to take the opportunity to underscore the importance of following all steps of the How's My Driving program to achieve the greatest success, which of course is ultimately really defined by accident rates and costs. And second, internal research. So really, thanks to the work of a cross-functional team here at Driver's Alert, we've identified areas where clients can realize an even greater return on their How's My Driving investment by following some simple tips. And third, we've rolled out some updates to the How's My Driving program that we'd like to share, including, as I mentioned, new corrective action courses and a brand new executive summary to help improve your visibility into how you're doing with the How's My Driving program. So a little bit about today's goals. First, Jeff Maiden will provide an introduction and history to How's My Driving, then discuss the basics including decals and vehicle rosters, then discuss the anatomy of a How's My Driving call, including how to follow up on those calls, and then go through a variety of reports that are very helpful for managing the program, culminating in the introduction to our new executive summary report, which, as I mentioned, will help really give you a lot better visibility and insight into how you're doing with the program. Then we'll introduce Lili Chaves, who will provide you some more detailed insights into the how-tos of How's My Driving, and then open it up to questions and finish with the announcement of today's gift card winner. So Jeff Maiden has been with Driver's Alert for several years and always been helping fleet and safety managers get the most out of their How's My Driving programs for the past 10 years. Jeff serves as our resident expert on all things related to How's My Driving. Having personally worked with hundreds of companies, he understands firsthand what it takes to implement How's My Driving solutions that wreck fewer vehicles and hurt fewer people. Jeff's recognized expertise in fleet safety has made him a sought-after presenter at industry events. But most important, Jeff possesses an unyielding commitment to help all companies reach a goal of zero accidents. So at this time, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Jeff Maiden. Jeff?
Yeah, thank you, Rich, and good afternoon to everybody. I think we can all agree that driving is dangerous. As such, Drivers Alert has held a number of these informative presentations now over the last year to illustrate our Smart Risk platform and the valuable services that we provide. Now, during those presentations, we've been able to introduce and help a number of organizations with both their fleet and workplace safety programs by taking advantage of our new e-learning, our GPS telematics and electronic logging capabilities, our motor vehicle record pull program, the How's My Driving service that we're going to discuss today, and we even had a great session on keeping your fleet DOT compliant. Today, though, we want to do something extra special for only you, our current valued clients who are utilizing the smartwatch or How's My Driving service. Now, it's hard to believe, but it's been almost 30 years now since we introduced this program, and we are still continuing making new enhancements and adding functionality that many of you have made great suggestions for. I've personally been helping organizations maximize the effectiveness of this service for 10 years, and it absolutely remains one of my favorite programs to discuss. Today, more companies are adding the service than ever before, so we wanted to share with you how to get the most out of it, both from my own experiences as well as some of the best practices we have seen organizations implement. I'm also real excited to be able to visually show you our new executive summary report we developed for you and the value this report will provide. So let's talk a little bit about decals. What looks like a simple decal to many is actually a means for us to produce over 20 valuable data collection points for you, from at-risk driving behavior to faulty equipment notifications and illegal parking situations that may prevent towing situations. But most of all, proactively promoting your brand image as a safety-conscious company. Now, over the years, we fielded calls where an employee was being physically assaulted and needed assistance. We've equally had calls where a physically impaired person was actually being verbally and physically abused by the employee of that company. We had a very disturbing concern call where someone had seen the same company logoed vehicle parked across from the street for several days in a row, taking pictures of the children there. We've had calls that have led to the interruption of drug dealings, calls where the driver themselves were in need of medical assistance, and even calls where the vehicle's back doors were left open and or the materials were not properly secured as well. Now, the reason we like to share these stories is so that you can truly understand the overall impact of this service and just how important it is for the clients that we work with. So when we talk about the decal here, best practices have shown that you want to select the largest vehicle that will keep the professional image of your vehicle, and you want to place it on the rear of the vehicle at an eye-level visibility so that you can see that decal clearly up to 3 cars in length from both the left, the center, and the right. Now, one of the best practices I really enjoyed hearing about from some of our clients is that they actually made that decal part of their daily vehicle inspection process and got the employees to take accountability for it as well, so that they prioritized it just as an important step as the proper operational status of the vehicle itself. Now, when we talk about setup, the company hierarchy, distribution, it's all about communication. First and foremost, it's really important for you to define who is going to be responsible for receiving the motorist observation reports and setting proper goals and expectations for them on how to timely address these reports with the responsible employees. We have found that absolute transparency and effective communication with the employees is also best practices for our clients. You want to make sure you have clearly defined goals and expectations for your employees and that they understand the value of the service, one, but two, the value that they represent to each one of your organizations. That way there's no surprises if an event occurs and you need to sit down with them to have that proactive discussion and training session to keep them on the proper path to success. our clients that have taken this approach and have those open lines of communication and getting drivers to take ownership of their actions, in turn creates the type of environment that you want to achieve. Now let's talk a little bit about the anatomy of a call itself. So 24/7, 365, Drivers Alert's own highly trained call specialists live answer these calls on your behalf. This is important because this is all they do, and they are consistent in displaying empathy without placing blame. But the goal is to quickly and accurately collect the important details of the call so that we can in turn report it to you, typically within a 10-minute time frame of the event occurring. Equally important, though, is how the intake specialists are trained to weed out calls that do not meet the driver's alerts requirements needed, so that when you do receive a motorist observation call, you have 100% confidence in the integrity and accuracy of the information and will address it and take the appropriate course of action with your employees. Now, what I'd like to do here is actually go into the Live Drivers Alert web portal and talk about that emailed report, the anatomy of the report, the coaching process and training, and also share with you how to get the most out of the online reporting tools. So everybody that's part of this call today should be on the distribution roster for the emailed reports, but it's really important as well that you have online administrative access. So if you don't, please do reach out to our customer support team or your individual sales representative so that we can enable that for you. So we'll go to driversalert.com. We'll log in. When you log in here, let's take a look at one of the emailed reports that goes out to you. And I want to talk a little bit about what's on it, how to use it, and why the audio file attachment is so important to you. So when you receive this as a supervisor, one, you'll see we have identified the decal number that was provided to us, and we cross-reference that with the license plate and vehicle information that you've provided and that we have on file for you. It gives you the opportunity to know when the event occurred, both day and time. We field over 90,000 calls a quarter. Over 80% of those calls, the caller is willing to give us their name and number, which we validate for you. I think that lends a lot of credibility to the report itself. But it also gives you the opportunity, if in this case you wanted to contact David, if nothing else, to thank him for the information, or maybe you want to derive additional details above and beyond what was initially provided. Certainly you want to know what the nature of the call was and what this caller witnessed your vehicle doing, and you certainly want to know where this event took place. Now, when you have that and review it, the whole idea is it'll allow you the opportunity to understand the nature of the call, one, but two, identify the employee you wish to speak with, and also so you're prepared to have a set goal and desired outcome from that conversation that you will have with the employee. Once that step has taken place and you call the employee in to sit down with you, I want to go through the coaching process. And this is probably the most important aspect of the program, because this is your opportunity as an organization to, one, be made aware of where maybe a driving deficiency took place, know who's responsible for it, but the most important aspect is to address it with that driver so it doesn't continue to happen in the future. So when I talk about the coaching process, I want to talk about how to have that effective conversation with the employee so you do achieve your desired outcome from that discussion. Now, timeliness is key, and best practices have shown that this process is most effective when done the same day while the event is still fresh in the employee's mind also. I can't stress, it's also super important to make it a two-way conversation. Best practices have shown that this isn't about placing blame. Again, explain why you've asked them for this meeting, remind them of your previously discussed policies and procedures, what you expect of them when representing your companies, and again, to reemphasize their value to your organization as a whole. I would suggest, one, setting the table for that. Two, let the employee themselves listen to the live audio call. Ask for their feedback and interpretation as to how they remember this event. More times than not, you will see that the employee will actually agree and take accountability for this event. Now, from there, also built into this, we have our what we call corrective action training. And that's something I absolutely want everybody to take advantage of, and you can do that right from the initial email that's sent out to you. So instead of just, in this case, speaking to the employee, and we had a call come in, and here's the nature of it, This is your chance to actually properly educate them on that hazardous situation so that they can quickly identify it next time and take the appropriate steps and measures to not put themselves in harm's way. So you can click right on the assigned training link from that email. And I'm going to show you an example here. So today, you've always had access to the changing lanes course, stop signs and signals, speeding awareness, tailgating awareness, distracted driving, and a new enhancement, we have just now added this to your selectable courses, failure to yield. Now the reason that we've selected these courses are two pieces. One, these typically represent about 80% of the calls that we field on your behalf. But two, these are also the 6 leading indicators of one of your employees being involved in a motorist accident. What I really like is changing lanes, weaving, unsafe lane change has always been one of the primary calls. But we've taken it a step further. Whereas changing lanes could have been just going from one lane to the next, a high percentage of your calls is absolutely in a hazard where they're trying to enter a highway and merge. And so we've pinpointed and developed that course specifically for you. Additionally, we have come out with a new course designed specifically for your supervisors called Closing the Loop, which I'm going to address a little bit later. And when Lili does her part of the presentation, she's going to show you how each one of those supervisors can log in and access that course. But I highly recommend that because it was designed specifically for those frontline supervisors to teach them these processes we're discussing today and make sure you're maximizing your efforts with the program itself. All right, so let's go back to the initial email report as well. We talked a little bit about how to sit down and have an effective conversation with the driver and how to assign the training. Also, what I want to go over for you is the response form. Again, live link right from the email that comes to you. This is vitally important and goes into the overall web reports I'm going to share with you in a few moments. And this is your opportunity to not only engage with the driver, but document that process so that you know who was responsible for it and what action did you take in this situation, such as this, as assigning additional training. Far too often when I'm personally reviewing these with clients, and I'm sure the other Drivers Alert sales representatives could attest as well, this isn't given enough attention by your organizations. I see just consultation and blanks. And it's really important to stress this to those supervisors that, again, this is their #1 opportunity to understand what occurred, when it occurred, who was responsible, and put in the time and effort to document what they did to correct it so that situation doesn't continue to arise for you. That manager can put in the additional comments, which I highly recommend. And then, of course, you're going to give the drivers the opportunity to tell their side of the story. Again, making it a two-part conversation, two-way conversation, rather. That supervisor will input his or her name. They hit click and save. It's electronically sent back to Drivers Alert, and it's going to go into a whole host of wonderful reports that I'm going to share with you today. Another component, though, that we found that a lot of our clients aren't aware of or don't use to its effective value is this little link here, which is actually the driver's copy of the report. By clicking on that, you can actually hand this out to the driver. Again, repetitive, safety-conscious information, that is not a bad thing. You want to keep safety fresh in their minds all the time. So by giving them this handout, they'll know what the nature of that call was, but what I like most is based on the incident type itself, it'll actually type out the suggested actions. Again, so next time when I'm going down the road and I see this same hazardous situation coming my way, ding, 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 you know what? I remember that effective conversation I had with my supervisor before in this piece of paper. I know how to properly handle and navigate that now. All right, so once you've done that, you can log in to the online Drivers Alert web portal that I was mentioning, and I want to share a couple of very valuable tools that you can utilize. One would be going to the incident type report here. It's always very important for you to understand what are your drivers having challenges with and where do the risks lie for your organizations. Excuse me, and this report will very effectively do that. It'll show you a breakdown by location as a company as a whole, and even though there's over 20-some different criteria to report, we've kept this simple just for illustration purposes today. But maybe, we're seeing a high proponent of calls due to weaving. Well, these are live links. You can click right on that. It's going to take you into the entire history, showing you when every single weaving event took place, who it was delivered to, what course of action they took, the driver responsible, and did we properly train them so that that doesn't continue to happen again in the future. The other thing that this is really important for is best practices have definitely shown the need to educate your drivers on driver-specific training prior to them ever taking the keys to a vehicle, and reinforcing those topics throughout the year to always keep safe driving a priority and focus, as well as to provide additional support and knowledge for the drivers who may receive one or more concerned motorist observation reports. So what I want to do is take you to our direct e-learning website. And if you don't already have this address, please do jot it down. You're going to get a lot of value out of this. That web address is www.lmscourses.com. This is our direct dedicated Driver's Alert e-learning company. So what I have up here now is the 42 different driver training courses that you could be utilizing. And what's nice about them is they're designed specifically to the types of vehicles that you operate within your organization. Now, above and beyond that, since we launched this a little over a year ago, we've helped everybody from the small business owner up to the Fortune 100 companies take advantage of training, and not just driver training, but they're using us for our workplace safety compliance training, our HR leadership development courses, a very much emerging market anymore with health and wellness, and even our DOT compliance. All right, so that is definitely the value of the incident type. What are our drivers telling us they're having trouble with? Where do our risks lie? And how can we use that tool and resource to get in front of the problem with the Driver's Alert training solution? Now, the last one that I want to show you here is if we go back to the home page, you can go to this Reports tab. And from the Reports tab, you can actually dissect any of this information we've discussed today. Maybe you really want to get a firm grasp on when are my events occurring, day of week, time of day. Are we seeing any influences based on traffic conditions, weather conditions? What are we doing as a company to address it? Are we taking timely engagement with the individuals? Are we following up and following what Driver's Alerts educated us to make this program a success? You have access to all these reports 24/7, 365, and I really encourage you to use them. But some of the exciting news that Rich and myself mentioned earlier is we've gone above and beyond again. We want to make this as simple and as effective for you as possible, so we've come out with a new executive summary report. I'm going to pull up an example of that for you. Even though you have access to those reports 24/7, 365, and I certainly encourage you to use them, I know a lot of times you get busy in your day-to-day operations. Well, we're going to take that excuse away. We've developed a report that we can deliver to you that lays it out all out in chronological order. So when you're reviewing this, we talk a little about industry statistics and key performance indicators, giving you a good idea of kind of call volume ratios, how many calls to expect per driver, how to focus on your repeat offenders, the significant increase in likelihood of being involved in a motorist accident for your repeat offenders. We do a year-over-year comparison so we can see the number of vehicles and types of vehicles you have on the program, seeing how many reports you've had this year versus prior years, total incidents, are you taking that timely engagement action with the drivers and responding, seeing an uptick rather, and increased utilization of our training courses, and of course addressing it with your most at-risk drivers, your repeat offenders. A couple other things to highlight here for you though too. I mentioned earlier about the value of the calls we take on illegal parking situations, faulty equipment, or any of the number of 20-some categories that we quantify for you. Well, again, we can look at the year-over-year comparisons, understand where those events are coming from, and also tie a true dollar savings to them based on the reduction of those events. Once you're made aware of them, then you can correct them. Also, I think it's always important for the clients to understand historically, where do our risks lie? But where did our risk lie the last 12 months? Are we seeing an improvement? Are we continually getting better as an organization? Also, what did we typically do about these over our historical period of time versus what course of action are we taking as a company now? Some of the reports I mentioned to you, quantifying when you're most at risk, both by day of week and time of day. going into all the training courses that we have to assist you with this, and even highlighting which ones you currently have access to. And then this is going to be a home run for you. We definitely need to get you more involved in providing your lost accident ratio data with us. You know, the last 1 year versus 3 years versus 5 years. How many accidents did you have? What was prompting, what types of accidents were they? What was the dollar amount associated with them? And then we can drive direct line correlation to post How's My Driving implementation. Well, here's where we reduced each type of category accident, and here's where we reduced each overall dollar expenditure for you as well. I don't have that highlighted here for example purposes, but this would be a good idea of just kind of a graph format as well, one quantifying the number of events. And this is pretty typical what we see with organizations. You know, starting out year one, blue, we have a high call volume, number of incidents being reported to us. We also have a high number of accidents within the organization. We have a high number of employees that are responsible for generating 2 or more events. But we also have a very low engagement process initially with the drivers and training utilization. But through our process going into years 2 and beyond, no coincidence here. They start to train and educate their employees more. What does that do? Drives down the number of calls, drives down the number of accidents, drives down the number of at-risk drivers, and you can see that direct correlation. Training goes up, incidents go down, accidents go down, better drivers return to your organizations for you. Lastly, I think this is always really important for you as well. We make it very simple. Who are our at-risk drivers? Why are they our at-risk drivers? What are we doing about it? We can quickly tell you who's had, you know, 1, 2, 3, or multiple calls based on the parameters that you desire. Equally important, though, is, you know, a lot of the clients we work with use this as a complementary incentive program for their employees. And so they equally want to know, well, who's really representing our company well? Who's getting complimentary calls on this program? We lay that all out for you. And then based on, you know, the types of organizations, again, working with everyone from small business owners up to Fortune 100 companies, if you've got multiple branches with us, it's always important for us, one, to show you, here's what's going on with the company, but here's what's going on at your individual branch locations. How's that match up with the overall company culture? And then within those branches, let's take a look at your drivers, and that's when you can really get to the root cause of the problem. So we're real excited about this report we developed for you. You can certainly reach out to your individual sales representatives or our customer support team to request a copy of this. I very much encourage that. I think you'll get a ton of value out of it. And with that, again, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me the opportunity to be part of this conversation today. I'm going to go ahead and turn things back over to Rich here in a moment, but please do stay on the call because we're going to introduce one of your favorite support members, Lili. And she's got a ton of really valuable information to share with you on the overall data management of the system. And she's also going to show you how to have your supervisors log in and take advantage of that new Closing the Loop course that I mentioned a few moments ago. So, Rich, I'm going to turn it over to you. But again, thank you, everybody, for letting me be part of the discussion today.
Well, thanks, Jeff. And before we introduce Lili, we'll go ahead and review just some of the topics that she will be discussing with respect to the How's My Driving how-tos. She will start off with talking about how to edit your vehicle listing, as well as ordering decals and adding employees to the roster so you can have a list to select from when assigning call reports to drivers. And then talk about transferring a call report, how to retrieve login credentials for drivers, as well as checking the status of training assignments, updating your contact information, and updating your distribution list of the managers receiving the call reports, granting managers online access to run reports and manage the vehicle listing, as well as where to get help. So a little bit about Lili. Lili has been with Drivers Alert now for several years and serves as the main contact when it comes to assisting clients with the How's My Driving program. She is incredibly knowledgeable and super friendly, as many customers can attest to, and through both training and one-on-one sessions has helped hundreds of clients achieve greater success in reducing accident rates with the How's My Driving program. And finally, Lili is fluent in 3 languages, which has come in handy on many occasions. So at this time, I will turn presentation over to Lili.
Oh, thank you, Rich. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Rich, for that lovely introduction and for bragging about me a little bit. We just want to say thank you from the Drivers Alert team one more time. I know that a lot of you could have been doing a ton of other things, but you're here today and you're with us learning about how to make this program a real success. So we're really excited about that. Here I have up on my screen a quick poll that we like to take. We'd like to get a feel for the audience. If you guys could let us know how frequently you log in so we can get a feel for what kind of information we want to share. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time to include that information there. All right, and let's share those results. So it looks like 50% of the people here today have logged in sometimes, so that's good. Hopefully we can get you to log in a little bit more frequently. And I have one more question I want to share and see what is important for you today out of this webinar, some of the tasks that are important for you to complete while you're logged into the website. So I'll allow a few minutes for that. Okay, so let's see what our results look like. So it looks like about 26% of the people coming in today are new, so awesome. For those of you that have never logged into the system, you don't have a setup, we will be emailing a follow-up email at the end of this webinar, and it will have a link for this form. This form is what you can fill out to tell us your information so customer service can have you set up so you can have a login username and password for the Drivers Alert website. Just keep a lookout for that email. All right, so let's go ahead and log into our secured site. This is our welcome page. Most of our focus today is going to be under this quick link section. Mostly everything you need to do to maintain your vehicle fleet is ready for you on this homepage link. So let's get started and talk about how to manage your vehicles and decals. I know from our polling here that that's a very important feature. So on this vehicle listing page, there's a ton of stuff going on. You're able to download this report to Excel. You can filter out by different locations and groups here at the top. You can search by a specific vehicle here by using the search box. And then you're also able to edit any vehicle information. Now, by clicking on this Edit Vehicle Listing button right here, that opens up all these fields for you. And from here, you're able to type in license plate number, vehicle number, color, type. You can also add a comment. You can also statically assign a driver to a vehicle. And this list is pulled from the employee roster, which I'll show you guys how to add your drivers to it. You also have the ability to add VIN, make, model, and year. And this is an important way for you to keep all your vehicle information stored in one place. Now, what is important in these fields here? I know there's a lot of information that you can add about your vehicle, but what is it that we're looking for? Whenever we have a call report, the first questions that we ask are about the vehicle information that the caller can see. So we can make sure that we identify the correct vehicle and make sure that that report goes out to the correct managers. So any vehicle any number that's visible on that vehicle is what we would like you to put in here. So license plate number. If your company has an assigned vehicle number, please include it if it's visible. The color, the type, and everything else you can include if you like. From this page, you're also able to transfer your vehicle. So if you have access to multiple locations for your company, by clicking on this drop-down option right here, you can select from different locations and pick the correct one. And once you click Save, that vehicle will be transferred to that page, to that listing page. If you'd like to delete a sticker, if it's no longer part of your fleet, if it got damaged, there's a little column for delete, and you can place a check mark here and hit Save. Now, keep in mind, if you click delete, it's gone. So don't freak out, don't panic. If you accidentally ever delete one, there is a way to bring it back, and I'll show you guys that by returning us to the home page. If you ever do accidentally delete a sticker or a decal, you can click on the decal change form. So it'll tell you 40 minutes to make the changes and click Save on this form. You want to fill out these fields. tell us the sticker, the decal you accidentally deleted, and then pick the action to add. Once you click the send request, customer service will get notified, and we'll make sure to put that sticker back on your list for you. All right. Real quickly, we get this question very frequently here at customer service. How do I order more decals? Well, it's a link right here on your home page, Order Decals. By coming into this form, you're able to pick which location you would like your decals to be shipped to. Notice that your shipping information will auto-fill in. If this is incorrect, please make sure you fix it. This is where we'll be shipping your decals to. Tell us how many, what size, any additional shipping information, and click Send Request. Once you do that, our shipping department will get notified so they can process your order right away. Now we noticed that we had a drop-down where we can pick different drivers. And where does that list come from? Well, that's found on this link called Manage Employee List. So by clicking on that, we're brought over to our employee roster page or employee list. And from here, we're able to add new employees. We can remove them by deactivating them. We can also look at their training history, and we can edit information if we need. We also can download this full report over to Excel if you want to share it with your HR. You can filter by different locations. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this page here. It gives you a total record here up at the top. But if you'd like to see more from one page, you're also able to increase your rows per page using this little box right here. So if we do that, we're able to filter by first name, last name by clicking on the column headers. If you have a new employee, it's really simple to add them. It's just clicking on this Add New Employee button. There's 3 steps. You'll fill in their last name, their employee ID. Now, if your company does not assign a company ID, you're welcome to make up an ID for your drivers. It could be the first letter of their first name and their last name. Once you fill these values in, you click Submit. You'll just include additional information like their first name, their password if you'd like to assign them one, a comment. So, for example, if you want to say who your delivery drivers are, your mechanics, you can also include their email, license plate information, state, birth dates, and all of that fun stuff. And from this edit option, you're able to transfer your drivers around. So if they move to a different location, you can do that as well. You can also deactivate them by unchecking the active box here. Once you made your changes, you want to click Save. And once these employees are added here, when a manager gets a call report, he'll be able to pick from a list of who the driver is so that he can assign it to that particular call. So we recommend that everyone fills in this information for your employees. It just keeps all your drivers and your vehicles all in one page, easy access for you. So let me take us to the call summary page where Jeff showed us a little bit of where the information is stored here. This is where you can see the status of training. So if training was assigned, if it was started, if it's not completed, all of that will be shown here in this column for trained. If you ever get a driver that has lost their login information, this is where you can come also to retrieve it. So this call summary tab is awesome. Let's go ahead and click on this call report link. So like Jeff showed us earlier, here's all the information for the call. We have these report options here on the right-hand side. But notice very suddenly we have this little pencil icon. So if we click on that, we're able to transfer a call report to a different district or location. So if that's the case, you can click on this Change Location drop-down, pick where that call should go to, and click Submit. Now, if you click the Submit button, this call will be automatically emailed out to the managers that need to receive it. But please keep in mind that if you transfer a call report, that does not mean the vehicle is transferred. You must return to the vehicle listing page and make sure you transfer the vehicle as well. This only emails out and transfers the call to the correct managers. Okay. If your employees have started taking the training, boy, do we get these calls a lot here at Drivers Alert. What's my username and password? Well, as a manager, you are able to retrieve that for your employees simply by clicking on this training link. So it's always under the report options on the call report. It should either say not attempted, training started, or online training if you haven't assigned it yet. So in this case, this trainee has started the training, but let's say they forgot their password, which happens very frequently. From this page, we'll have 3 options to make sure this employee takes the training. We can email him or her their login info. If we choose that option, we're able to type in their email address. And from here, we'll have their call report number, the course they've been assigned, the name of the driver, and their employee ID number if that's been assigned as well. They'll get a link to where they'll click and go ahead and log in with this username and password, and they can get started on the training. Now, if you don't have that employee's email address, you can also click on this View Login Information here. By doing that, you can send this to a printer and they can get the username and password that they need to log in for training. Lastly, if you just want them to get it over with and they're in your office, just click this Take Course Right Now option and it will take them directly to the training center where they can click on the course title and begin the course. So no excuses for not completing the training they've been assigned. All right, with that, let's go into this admin tab here at the top. Another frequently asked question here at customer service is, how do I add or change a new manager, add them to receive the call reports for our fleet? Very easy to do. Anyone with online access can actually do that by clicking on this admin tab and clicking on the links for locations and contacts. This is where all your locations will be housed. You can use this neat filter here at the top to kind of go through them a little bit faster. Again, the rows per page if you want to look at more information at once. And simply by picking the location you'd like to edit, clicking this little chubby edit button here at the top. Once we do that, we're notified we have 40 minutes to make changes. Please don't run to the bathroom and don't click Save because you are going to lose all your information. Make sure you click Save before you go to the bathroom. Here you can include your contact information. So these are the people that are going to be showing up on that call report as contacts. So you want to make sure this information is up to date. We also have your shipping information. If it changes, you're welcome to update it. And very important, we have your contact phone number. This is the number that you must maintain up to date. If your vehicle is ever involved in an accident or if it's being towed, our call center managers will go ahead and give you a call. And they will ask for the person listed here, and they'll use the phone number here to notify if your vehicle is in some kind of danger, if it's being towed. So this information is vital. Another thing that's important here on this page is who is receiving those calls. You can include someone's email address on this very first box here. That's for them to receive all the call reports. And lastly, we have the reminder emails. These reminder emails is something that we have set up for you already off the box when we implement you to the How's My Driving. The default setting for these reminder emails is 5 business days, meaning that if you get a call report and it does not get responded to within 5 business days, whoever is listed in this email reminder box will get an email to let them know they've been late and they need to respond. So if you'd like to change those settings, let us know. We can make it 3 days. How many days is important to you? But it's important when you add a new manager that they also get notified if calls don't get responded so they can stay on top of them. And while we're on this page, I want to point out this Online Users tab. This is where you can grant other managers in your fleet online access to the system. So if you have someone new that you'd like them to be able to edit vehicle information, add employees into the system, run reports, do all the fun stuff, you can just go ahead and click on this Add User button, fill in their info. There's an access level drop down here, and you can pick which locations you would like that person to have access and visibility to. And once you click Add User, that person should be added here on this list as an admin. Now, just because you added them does not mean they know they have access. So if you'd like them to actually log in, you want to click on the user and notify them by sending them an email. So this email login info button makes that easy for you, and it sends them an email with their username and password. Okay. So if you doze off while I was yapping over here, there's one thing I really want to make sure everyone grasps, and that's our brand new Help tab here at the top. This tab is our support center. You can go in here and search by products. Now, if you were asleep while I was talking about how to order decals, you can simply type in the word decal into the search, and from here you have some articles related to decals. So if you forgot how to order them, click on that article, and here's all that information for you. Now, if you have a more in-depth question and you can't find any help here on this resource, you can always use this Email Us button too, and that opens up on your Gmail, Outlook, with this email ready for you to type in what your request is. For those of you that are interested in our executive summary report, use this feature now and just send us an email requesting that report, and we'll be happy to send that over to you from customer service. So that's our Help tab. Now, I have something very exciting too that I like to share, and it's something brand new. We just released it today, and that's this new My Training link. Everyone that logs in today will see that on their home page. If you're interested in taking the Closing the Loop course, which we highly recommend, just by clicking on this My Training link, you're automatically assigned this course. Now you're going to see the status is due immediately. That's because we want you guys to take it right now. This course is awesome. Jeff mentioned it a little bit earlier. For those of you that are brand new to our Driver's Alert program, you're not sure, what am I supposed to do once I get a call? How am I supposed to talk to my drivers? How do I assign training? Why do I assign training? This course will help you out with that. So if you click on the course title, you don't have to take it all in one go. If you're busy, you can always pause it and return to it. See, I've started taking it earlier today. If you want to start it over, you can. And it just gives you all the information. You also have a table of contents where you can see exactly what will be covered as you go along the course. So that's available for you. Again, it's right on that home page when you log in. It's highlighted in yellow so you can't miss it. All right, so thank you, everybody. I'm sorry for our technical difficulty. I'm glad I was able to share this with everyone. And make sure to contact customer service if you need any additional help. We're always glad to help. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Rich. Thank you.
Well, thanks for that, Lily. We're going to go ahead and recap in closing. You heard the introduction and history of How's My Driving from Jeff Maiden, along with the basics about decals and vehicle rosters, including the anatomy of a call and how to follow up on those calls. And then he went through a series of reports culminating with the introduction to our new executive summary report. And then, as you just heard, Lily went through the how-tos of How's My Driving. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and open it up to questions. If you have a question, please use the online chat feature. We will answer those as they come in. And we give you a few seconds for that. We have one here. I'm going to go ahead and I'll address this one to you, Jeff. It seems a few questions regarding this again. Is it possible for you just to quickly just show once again how you access the executive summary report?
To access the executive summary report, Lily actually went over that through that help button on when they log in. It'll go right to customer service as long as they put in their company information and who's requesting it. Customer service will email that directly to them.
Okay, and we'll follow up with that after this, the conclusion of this event as well. One other question I think I could address to you, Jeff, is do you record all of the calls that come into the How's My Driving program?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's one of the things I highlighted more than once today. And one of the things that was more positive feedback than any other part of the report that we send out to you. So yes, all calls are absolutely recorded. And that is a critical piece when reviewing it as a supervisor yourself and then sitting down and letting the driver listen to it, because text can be so subjective in that report. But when you can hear the second that we pick up the call, the qualifying questions we're asking on your behalf, the nature of the details being delivered to us, but I think the most important piece is just the emotion behind the caller, which makes it a much more relatable event. That's really powerful for you. So yes, absolutely, all calls are recorded and attached to the reports that we send out to you.
Okay, we'll take one more question. I'll go ahead and address this one. The question is really regarding about the operation of the call center and whether or not calls are received at all times of the day, including through the night, and the answer is yes. It is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation, and we do take those calls through the night. So hopefully that will answer that. So really that's all the time we've got for the questions. Do apologize for the little technical difficulty in the middle, but if you do have questions regarding any issues related to How's My Driving, how to use the program, how to get more out of it, or anything else about Driver's Alert's Fleet Safety Solutions, please do feel free to call us at the 800 number here on the screen and hit option 1, or you can send us an email at customerservice@driversalert.com. We will be sending a follow-up email shortly that includes a link to a survey to get some feedback on some of the things that we did in this presentation, including how we're doing and whether or not we need to improve on a few things. We do look at all of those responses, and our management team does take those into consideration, and we incorporate that in future webinars. You'll also find a link to a recording of the presentation as well as an introduction to our customer referral program and a link to the Closing the Loop Corrective Action course as Lily mentioned earlier.